Imagine saving hundreds or even thousands of dollars each year without sacrificing your quality of life. Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, what if someone told you that it's entirely possible with just one word? Frugality. This is just not about pinching pennies and living a miserable life. In fact, it can be the key to living a fulfilling and abundant life without breaking the bank. So in today's video, we're going to share with you the 5 steps to mastering and balancing frugality and why it's the best thing ever. So, how can you make frugality work for you? Without further ado, let's get started. Number 1. Breaking the stigma. Well, many people have the misconception that living a frugal lifestyle means leading a life of hardship because they believe that to be frugal, one must forego having fun and engaging in leisure events. Despite what many believe, this interpretation is not correct. Making deliberate choices to reduce unnecessary expenditures and maximize the use of money is the foundation of frugality. Being frugal doesn't mean having to give up the things you love. For instance, if you find joy in drinking lattes, you can continue to do so. However, you might decide to brew them in your kitchen rather than purchasing them from a local coffee shop. In the same way, you can still have fun with your friends without running out of money. The stereotype of frugality as a depressing and isolating way of life must be addressed to get past it. This constrictive interpretation of frugality is frequently spread on social media and other platforms, yet it does not adequately capture the essence of modest living. Frugality is a lifestyle choice that can help you achieve goals like debt repayment, savings growth, and financial independence. The hardest part of being frugal is overcoming the stigma. But once you do, you'll find that it is not about denying yourself the things you enjoy, but rather about making deliberate decisions to live a fuller life within your means. Number 2. Realize there's no way to go about frugality. Everyone should approach frugality differently because everyone's financial conditions and goals are different. The most common misconception regarding frugality is that it's a one-size-fits-all solution. But that's not the case. There is no one proper method to be frugal, so it's essential to strike a balance that supports your personal objectives. It's up to you to decide which economical practices are most effective for you, whether it be limiting your out-of-home dining, downsizing your living quarters, or actively saving for a future goal. It's essential to adapt your strategy to the particulars of a scenario you're in and the goals you've set for yourself. For instance, a recent college graduate may decide to live with roommates or in a smaller apartment to reduce housing costs and settle student loan debt. On the other hand, if a retiree wants to reduce the amount they spend on vacations while still making the most of their golden years, they can choose to take their trips during non-peak popular times of the year. To advance their artistic profession, freelance artists may prioritize investing in high-quality art supplies while finding innovative solutions to reducing living expenses. All of these tactics are genuine and viable ways to practice frugality. The secret is to define your goals and design a budget-friendly strategy that works for you and your unique situation. Number 3. Understand that you won't last long if you create a life of deprivation. Well, developing a successful frugal plan necessitates balance. You can't just wake up one day and switch your lifestyle from one that is materialistic to one that is extremely frugal. If you do this, you'll most likely wind up feeling deprived and miserable. Instead, start by figuring out what adds value to your life and keeping those things. You could, for instance, give yourself permission to eat out once or twice a week, or you could occasionally go out on trips with your friends. Also, identify the wasteful behaviors and expenses that do not add value to your life and eliminate them. This can entail restricting online shopping, avoiding pointless upgrades, and foregoing meal delivery when you're too lazy to cook. You can develop a long-term plan that doesn't feel like deprivation and that you won't fear every step of the way by consciously striking a balance between what offers value to your life and what doesn't bring value to your life. This is how you can make your plan last. Number 4. Learn that your definition of frugality will change over time. As we progress through life, the things that are most important to us, our needs and circumstances that we find ourselves in, shift. So does our view on how to live within our means. Frugality is a way of life that centers on wise financial choices to maximize one's resources. But our idea of frugality changes as we age. from early adulthood through retirement, depending on our shifting requirements and ambitions. Frugality throughout the 18 to 25-year-old range may entail making sacrifices to pay for lifelong desires to travel. When you are between the ages of 26 and 35, practicing frugality may involve taking risks that are well thought out and resisting the impulse to upgrade continuously. Frugality may be choosing to put family time ahead of pricey hobbies if you're between the ages of 35 and 55, while it can mean conserving money for a pleasant retirement between the ages of 55 and 90. The beauty of frugality is that it is a flexible and shifting idea that adapts to life's changes. The key to mastering frugality is accepting this flexible concept and modify our strategy according to our stage of life. Then, the last step is realizing that once you make frugal decisions, you are always happy you did it. You'll feel satisfied and content with your selections if you make wise ones. Even though you aren't constantly in the mood to make thrifty decisions, you'll feel a sense of accomplishment and inner peace whenever you do. This is true even if you aren't always in the mood. Making economic decisions will only benefit you in the long run, and once you get over the notion that frugality is a bad thing, you'll see that it's a good factor in your life. You'll find balance and satisfaction by developing a dynamic connection with frugal living. It's essential to remember that being frugal does not entail denying yourself things that you want or you need. Instead, it's consciously adopting decisions that lead to a better quality of life. You should never pass up a chance to take on economic activities that will pay off for you in the long term. And by the way, in case you weren't aware, living your life according to the principle of frugality is the single best thing you can do for your financial life. But not just financially though. There are more reasons to it. The number one reason is that frugality ensures you will never be bored. A life of perpetual learning and creation can help prevent boredom. Being frugal is not about conserving money. When trying to cut costs and live a more frugal lifestyle, you must get creative with stretching your resources and making the most of what you have. This entails developing new abilities, attempting novel experiences, and appreciating life's small pleasures. For instance, rather than dining out at a fancy restaurant, you could try your hand at preparing meals at home and become familiar with various recipes. You might also look into cost-free activities like hiking or visiting a nearby museum as an alternative to paying for pricey leisure. You'll discover that by adopting frugality, life is richer, more meaningful, and full of fascinating possibilities to learn and develop. Frugality also allows one to let go of perfectionism, which is another reason it's the best thing ever. The pressure to be flawless can be released through frugal living. You're putting yourself in a position of disappointment when you strive to spend money correctly. On the other hand, when you practice frugality, your expectations are lower than they would be otherwise. You learn that sometimes good enough is enough if you live frugally. It's easier to concentrate on what genuinely is important and avoid getting sidetracked by the details when you're not spending a lot of money. This doesn't imply that you're settling for less. Rather, it indicates that you deliberately choose where to allocate your time, effort, and money. When we save money, we have less to choose from, which makes us happier. But how? Do you ever feel overwhelmed when you go to the supermarket and there are so many different types of drinks, chips, and cereals to pick from? Do you often find yourself hesitating when you should be shopping and worrying that you might pick the wrong thing? Now, it sounds like you need to practice some frugality to solve your issues. In fact, according to research, having fewer options makes people happy. We experience less stress and are more satisfied with our choice when we keep our options to a minimum. Because we have to be more careful about our spending, being frugal naturally restricts our options. This can lead to a happier and more satisfying lifestyle. Take, for instance, the scenario where you want to purchase a new pair of shoes. You may spend hours online and in stores to find the ideal pair, but if you have a frugal mindset, you might restrict yourself to a few selections that fit your demands and price range. Ultimately, you'll probably feel more satisfied with your choice if you select more quickly and don't stress about finding the perfect pair. By experiencing frugality, take advantage of a simpler, less stressful life with fewer options. Frugality is also about more than saving money. It's also about developing relationships and a sense of community. Frugality has the power to unite people in today's world, which is characterized by isolation and individualism. When we live frugal lives, we develop mutual reliance and the ability to share our resources, such as time and skills. By lending out tools, books, and other stuff that we no longer require, we also learn to share our assets. As a result, we develop relationships and friendships with people in our neighborhood, which may be a really gratifying experience. Also, when we have a strong sense of community, we may all gain from the resources and expertise that are pooled together. As we wrap up, let me leave you with this one question. What small changes can you make in your life today to embrace frugality and start experiencing the benefits we've discussed? Remember, it's not about deprivation or sacrificing your quality of life, but rather making intentional choices that align with your values and goals. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next video.